Captain Marcus Reed stood frozen on the bridge of the UES Defender, his eyes fixed on the massive screens showing the impossible. 12 alien ships, each larger than the biggest human aircraft carrier, had appeared in Earth's orbit just hours ago. They had moved past all of Earth's outer warning systems without triggering a single alarm. "Sir, they're broadcasting on all frequencies," said Lieutenant Adams, her voice tight with fear. Marcus nodded. "Put it through." The main screen flickered, and a figure appeared. It looked almost human, but not quite. Tall and thin, with pale blue skin and eyes too large for its face. It wore what appeared to be some kind of armored suit with symbols Marcus didn't recognize. "People of Earth," the alien said in perfect English, "I am Commander Vex of the Dominion Fleet. Your world is now under our protection and control. Resistance is not advised." Marcus felt his heart pound in his chest. Humanity had wondered about alien life for centuries, and now here they were, not as friends, but as conquerors. "Open a channel," Marcus ordered. "This is Captain Marcus Reed of the United Earth Defense Force. We have made no hostile actions against your people. We request peaceful discussion before any claims of control are made." Commander Vex's large eyes blinked slowly. "Discussion is not necessary. Your technology is primitive. Your weapons are useless against us." To demonstrate. Without warning, every satellite around Earth went dark. The Defense Force's orbital platforms shut down one by one. On the bridge of the Defender, screens flickered and went black, then came back online. "That was a small display of our capabilities," Vex continued. "We could have just as easily disabled your life support systems. We choose instead to be merciful." Within 24 hours, world leaders gathered in an emergency session of the United Nations. Marcus sat at the back of the room, watching as politicians argued about what to do. Some wanted to fight, but how could they fight an enemy that could shut down their technology with a thought? When the aliens landed in major cities across the world, there was no real resistance. Their ships touched down in New York, Beijing, London, Moscow, and 20 other locations simultaneously. From each ship came troops in advanced armor and strange floating machines that scanned everything they passed. The message was the same everywhere. "We are here as your benefactors. We will elevate humanity to new heights. Cooperation is mandatory." 3 months later, Marcus walked down a street in what used to be downtown Chicago. It was barely recognizable now. Alien structures rose between the old human buildings, sleek towers of black material that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Dominion soldiers patrolled everywhere, their weapons humming with energy beyond human understanding. He passed a processing center, one of hundreds set up around the world. A line of humans waited to enter, their faces showing a mix of fear and resignation. Nobody really knew what happened inside. The Dominion claimed they were screening humans for compatibility with advanced education, but those who came out were changed. They moved differently, spoke differently, as if something essential had been taken from them. Marcus had his suspicions about what the aliens really wanted. His friend Dr. Anna Wells had contacted him a week ago, asking to meet in secret. As he approached the abandoned subway station where she waited, he checked twice to make sure he wasn't followed. Anna looked terrible, thin and tired, with dark circles under her eyes. But there was a fire in those eyes that Marcus hadn't seen in anyone since the invasion. "I found something," she said without greeting. "I think I know what they're doing to people in those processing centers." She showed him pictures smuggled out by a resistance member who had worked as a janitor in one of the facilities. The images made Marcus sick. Humans in clear tanks, strange machines attached to their heads, fluid being extracted from their brains. "They're harvesting us," Anna said. "My analysis shows they're taking a specific enzyme from human brain tissue. I think they need it to live longer." "God," Marcus whispered. "How many people know about this?" "Not enough. They control all the major communication networks now, but that's not all I found." Anna leaned closer. "When I was studying the brain samples, I noticed something unusual about human neural patterns. something I don't think the Dominion knows about. She explained her discovery in scientific terms that went over Marcus's head, but the bottom line was clear. There was something unique about human brains that might, just might, give them a chance to fight back. By 6 months after the invasion, the resistance had grown from scattered individuals to an organized network. They operated from abandoned subway tunnels, old bunkers, and remote buildings that the aliens considered too primitive to bother monitoring. Dr. Anna Wells had set up a makeshift lab in what used to be a storage room in an old hospital basement. Working with salvaged equipment and whatever supplies they could steal from Dominion facilities, she was testing her theory about human neural patterns. "It's working," she told Marcus and Jack Torres, a former Army Ranger who now led the resistance cell in Chicago. "Look at this." On a small screen, they watched as a simple Dominion scanner, stolen at great cost, malfunctioned when exposed to a specific frequency pattern generated by a human brain. "I don't get it," Jack said. "What are we seeing?" "Our brains generate electrical patterns," Anna explained. "The Dominion's technology is sensitive to a specific pattern that humans produce naturally, especially when stimulated the right way. It's like feedback between two microphones placed too close together." "Can this actually hurt them?" Marcus asked. Anna shook her head, not directly. "But it can disrupt their technology, and they rely on their technology for everything. Communication, weapons, even their life support systems." Jack leaned forward. "So you're saying we found their weakness?" "Maybe." Anna's eyes were bright with cautious hope. "But we need to figure out how to amplify the effect and deliver it effectively. Right now, one human brain can only disrupt Dominion tech within a few feet. We need more power, more range." As they talked, above them, in what remained of Chicago, more humans were rounded up for processing. Commander Vex stood on the observation deck of his ship, looking down at the city with satisfaction. These humans were perfect, their biology exactly what the Dominion needed to extend their lifespans by decades. And the best part, the primitive creatures had no idea they had anything of value. They thought they were powerless. How wrong they were. Winter had come to Chicago, and with it, new hardships. 6 months after the Dominion's arrival, food was scarce. Heat was a luxury. The aliens didn't care if humans were comfortable. They only cared that humans stayed alive long enough to be processed. Jack Torres watched from the shadows as another group of captured humans was marched into the processing center. These roundups were happening more often now. The Dominion was getting greedy. "How many today?" asked Marcus, who appeared silently beside him. 50, maybe more," Jack replied, "including 3 of our people." Marcus's face hardened. Those who went into the processing centers came out changed. They walked differently, spoke differently. Their eyes looked empty, like something important had been taken from them. Because it had. "We need to move faster," Marcus said. "Anna thinks she's close to a breakthrough." In the underground lab, Dr. Anna Wells hadn't slept in 2 days. Her small team of scientists, those who had escaped the first roundups, worked tirelessly around her. The lab was cold and damp, but no one complained. They all knew what was at stake. "Play it again," Anna said to her assistant, Tom. Tom pressed a button on a salvaged music player. Classical music filled the room. Bach, toccata, and fugue in D minor. As the powerful notes echoed through the space, Anna watched the readings on her equipment. "There," she pointed excitedly. "Did you see that spike?" The neural patterns displayed on her screen showed unusual activity. When the music hit certain notes, human brains produced specific wave patterns, patterns that created interference with Dominion technology. "It's the music," Anna said. "Something about these specific sound frequencies triggers our brains to produce stronger neural patterns, patterns that disrupt their tech. So we're what? Going to defeat alien invaders with Bach?" Tom asked, half joking. Anna smiled for the first time in weeks. "It sounds crazy, but yes. Music, something the Dominion considers primitive human entertainment. might be our best weapon. When Jack and Marcus arrived at the lab, Anna explained her discovery. The effect is stronger when multiple people hear the same music at once, she said. It creates a kind of resonance. The more humans, the stronger the effect. How do we use this? Jack asked. We can't exactly hold a concert in the middle of a Dominion base. Anna pulled out a small device that looked like an ordinary earpiece, the kind the Dominion allowed humans to use for basic communication. We modified these, she explained. They play the specific frequencies that trigger the neural response, and they also amplify the brain's output. With one of these, a single person can disrupt Dominion tech within about 50 feet. Marcus picked one up, turning it over in his hand. You're saying we can turn humans into walking jammers? Exactly, Anna nodded. And they won't know what's happening until it's too late. Commander Vex was concerned. Production at the Chicago Processing Center had dropped by 15% in the last week. Equipment malfunctions were becoming common. At first, he assumed it was just the inferior Earth materials they were forced to use for repairs. Now he suspected something else. Increased surveillance in sectors 7 through 12. He ordered his second-in-command. Focus on any unusual human gatherings. Yes, Commander, the officer replied. Also, we've detected unusual communication patterns in the old underground transit system. Should we send a patrol? Vex considered this. No. Place monitoring devices at all known entrances. If the humans are hiding down there, I want to know what they're planning before we move in. Jack led a team of 20 resistance fighters through the abandoned subway tunnels. Each person wore one of Anna's modified earpieces. They had trained for this mission for 2 weeks, but everyone was still nervous. This would be their first real strike against the Dominion. Remember the plan, Jack said. We activate the devices when we're within range of the target. We free as many people as we can from the holding area. Then we get out. Don't try to be heroes. The target was a small Dominion outpost that served as a collection point before people were taken to the main processing center. Intelligence suggested about 30 humans were being held there, guarded by only a handful of Dominion soldiers. As they approached the surface, Jack could feel his heart pounding. Devices on in 3, 2, 1. Now. 20 humans reached up and pressed their earpieces simultaneously. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then they heard it, the distinctive sound of Dominion alarm systems, followed by confused shouting. Jack led the team up to the street level. The scene was exactly what Anna had predicted. The Dominion's energy barriers around the building were flickering. The soldiers' weapons were malfunctioning, showing error lights. Even their communication devices were failing. Move in, Jack ordered. The resistance fighters rushed the building. The Dominion soldiers, unused to their technology failing, were caught completely off guard. Within minutes, the outpost was under human control. Jack found the holding cells and released the captives. We're getting you out of here, he told them. Stay quiet and follow us. As they prepared to retreat, Jack heard a familiar voice call his name. His sister Maria was working with another team of fighters to gather Dominion data devices. Jack, we found something big. Files on all the processing centers and what they're doing there. Grab what you can, but hurry, Jack told her. Their backup systems will kick in soon. They were almost clear when the first reinforcements arrived. 3 Dominion transport vehicles appeared at the end of the street, unloading soldiers. Run, Jack shouted. Back to the tunnels. Most of the group made it, but in the chaos, Jack lost sight of Maria. When he did a head count in the safety of the tunnels, she wasn't there. Where's Maria? He asked desperately. One of the other fighters shook his head. They got her, Jack. I saw them take her. The news of the raid spread quickly through the resistance network. For the first time, humans had successfully attacked a Dominion outpost. More importantly, they now had proof of what was happening in the processing centers. In the lab, Anna examined the stolen Dominion devices. This confirms everything we suspected, she said grimly. They're extracting a compound from human brains, something they call essence, that extends their lifespans. But we hurt them today, Marcus said. We showed they're not invincible. On his private command ship, Commander Vex received the report of the raid with cold fury. How is this possible? He demanded. How could their primitive weapons overcome our technology? Not weapons, sir, his officer replied. Our systems just failed, all at once. Vex's eyes narrowed. Perhaps these humans weren't as simple as the Dominion had assumed. Send a message to the homeworld, he ordered. Request additional security forces, and find out how they did this. In the Resistance base, Jack stared at a photo of himself and Maria. We'll get her back, Marcus promised, putting a hand on his shoulder. Yes, we will, Jack replied. And then we'll make them pay for everything they've done. The Resistance had found humanity's hidden strength. Now they needed to use it before the Dominion discovered how to counter it, and before it was too late for Maria and thousands of other captured humans. The main Resistance base was busier than ever. The successful raid had brought hope, something in short supply since the Dominion arrived. People moved with new purpose through the old subway tunnels that formed their underground headquarters. In her lab, Anna worked tirelessly to improve the neural amplifiers. The current versions worked, but they had limitations. The range was too short, and the batteries only lasted a few hours. We need something stronger, she told Marcus as he brought her a rare cup of coffee. Something that can affect an entire Dominion base at once. You look like you haven't slept in days, Marcus said. Anna gave a tired smile. Sleep is for people who aren't being harvested by aliens. Across the room, Tom was examining the Dominion devices they had stolen during the raid. Anna, you need to see this, he called. The data confirmed their worst fears. The Dominion wasn't just taking humans for the brain enzyme. They were increasing their quotas. According to the files, they planned to process 10,000 humans per week in Chicago alone. They're getting desperate for this essence, Anna said. But why the sudden hurry? The answer came from a new member of the Resistance, a human translator who had worked for the Dominion before escaping. Their soldiers are dying, he explained. Something about Earth's atmosphere is toxic to them over time. They need more of the enzyme to counteract the effects. Jack Torres had been quiet since Maria's capture. Now he spoke up. So they're killing more of us because they're dying faster. Yes, the translator nodded. And it's only going to get worse. In the main processing center, Maria Torres sat in a small cell. She had been questioned for hours about the Resistance, but had revealed nothing. Now she waited, knowing what happened to prisoners here. A guard appeared at her cell door. Time for processing, he said in the flat voice all Dominion soldiers used when speaking to humans. As they led her down a long hallway, Maria noticed something strange. Some of the Dominion systems were glitching, lights flickering, doors opening and closing on their own. The guard seemed concerned, checking their weapons more often than usual. They reached a large room filled with clear tanks. In each tank floated a human, connected to machines that hummed softly. Some were still awake, their eyes wide with fear. Others had already gone through the procedure and stared blankly at nothing. Maria felt terror rise in her throat. Then she noticed something else. One of the machines was sparking. As she watched, it shut down completely. The Dominion technicians rushed to fix it, their movements frantic. What is happening? One guard asked another. Unknown, came the reply. Equipment failures are increasing across all sectors. Maria realized what was happening. The Resistance must be close by, using the neural disruptors. She just needed to stall until they arrived. Jack stood before the Resistance Council, outlining his plan. The information we gathered shows that all processed humans are taken to the central facility before being shipped off-world. That means Maria is there, along with hundreds of others. It's too heavily guarded, someone objected. The small outpost was one thing, but the main facility. It's suicide. Not with this, Anna said, revealing a new device. It was larger than the earpieces, about the size of an old smartphone. This is a neural amplifier, version 2. It can boost the disruptive effect by 10 times. One person wearing this can affect Dominion tech within a quarter mile. And I've made 15 of them, Tom added. Jack nodded. We hit them tonight. A small team goes in, disrupts their systems, and frees as many people as possible, including Maria. Marcus looked concerned. The Dominion will know it's us after this. They'll come at the Resistance with everything they have. Let them come, Jack said. It's time we stopped hiding. Commander Vex was furious. More equipment failures, more delays in meeting quotas, and still no explanation. His superiors on the homeworld were demanding results. Find the source of these malfunctions, he ordered. Increase patrols in all sectors. His second-in-command approached hesitantly. Sir, we've detected unusual energy readings in the old transportation tunnels. It could be human activity. Send a squad immediately. Vex commanded. Use the new shielded equipment. If these humans are using some kind of primitive jamming technology, I want samples. And prisoners. The Resistance team was preparing to leave when the alarm sounded. Dominion forces entering the east tunnels. A lookout shouted. How many? Marcus asked. At least 30, with heavy weapons. And their tech is working. Jack and Marcus exchanged grim looks. They've adapted, Marcus said. We need to evacuate. But what about the mission? What about Maria? Jack demanded. Anna grabbed the neural amplifiers. We'll split up. Most people head to the backup base. A small team continues with the original plan. I'm going after Maria, Jack said firmly. And I'm going with you, Marcus replied. As chaos erupted in the tunnels, with people rushing to escape and fighters moving to hold off the Dominion forces, Anna made a discovery that changed everything. The new amplifiers are having an unexpected effect. She told Jack as they prepared to move out. They're not just disrupting the Dominion's technology, they're disrupting the Dominion themselves. What do you mean? Jack asked. Their biology is partly technological, Anna explained. They use internal systems to survive in our atmosphere. The neural disruption affects those systems too. You're saying our weapon can kill them? Marcus asked. Anna nodded slowly. I think so, but we've never used it at this strength before. I don't know exactly what will happen. Jack checked his weapon. We're about to find out. The night was dark and cold as Jack led a team of 10 toward the main processing facility. Each person carried one of Anna's new amplifiers. They moved carefully through side streets, avoiding Dominion patrols. The massive building loomed ahead, surrounded by energy barriers and guard posts. Dominion ships hovered overhead, their lights sweeping the area. Remember the plan, Jack said quietly. We activate the amplifiers simultaneously. When their systems go down, we move in, find the prisoners, and get out. What about the Dominion guards? Someone asked. If Anna's right, they'll be affected too, Jack replied. But be ready for anything. They took positions around the facility, hiding in the shadows of old buildings. Jack looked at his watch. 3, 2, 1. Now. 10 humans pressed buttons on their amplifiers. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the energy barriers around the facility began to flicker. Lights inside the building dimmed and went out. The hovering ships wobbled in the air. And the Dominion guards began to fall. One by one, the alien soldiers collapsed, clutching at their throats or heads. Some managed to fire their weapons, but the shots went wild, the targeting systems failing. It's working, Marcus shouted. Move in. As they rushed the facility, Jack couldn't believe how effective the amplifiers were. The entire complex was in chaos. Dominion officials ran in confusion, many struggling to breathe as their internal systems failed. In the processing room, Maria watched in amazement as her guards fell to the floor, gasping. The machines connected to the human tanks shut down completely. Then the emergency lights kicked in, bathing everything in red. The door burst open, and Jack rushed in. Maria, Brother and sister embraced briefly. "We need to free everyone," Maria said, pointing to the tanks. As the resistance fighters worked to release the captives, alarms blared throughout the facility. "Dominion reinforcements will be coming," Marcus warned. "We need to move." "Not yet," Jack said, looking at the dozens of confused, frightened people they had rescued. "We need to get everyone out first." Suddenly, the main door to the processing room slid open. Commander Vex stood there, flanked by soldiers wearing what looked like heavy protective suits. "Did you really think we wouldn't adapt to your primitive attack?" Vex asked, his voice cold with hate. "These suits shield us from your disruptive signals." Jack raised his weapon, but one of the soldiers fired first. The energy blast hit Jack in the shoulder, spinning him around. Marcus returned fire, forcing the Dominion soldiers to take cover. "Everyone out the back way," Maria shouted to the freed captives. Now, as chaos erupted around them, the battle for humanity's survival entered a new and deadlier phase. Pain shot through Jack's shoulder as he ducked behind a large processing tank. The Dominion energy weapon had burned right through his jacket. Marcus fired back, forcing Commander Vex and his protected soldiers to take cover. "We need to get these people out," Maria shouted, helping the confused former captives toward the back exit. Jack grimaced through the pain. "The amplifiers aren't working on them. Those suits are blocking the signal." "Then we need a stronger signal," Marcus said, firing another burst at the doorway where the Dominion soldiers were regrouping. Jack reached for his radio. "Anna, do you copy? The amplifiers aren't affecting soldiers with protective suits. We need options." Anna's voice crackled over the radio. "Increase the power to maximum. All of you at once. It might overload their shielding." The resistance fighters each adjusted their amplifiers. "On my mark," Jack called. 3, 2, 1. Now. 10 amplifiers surged to the maximum power. The effect was immediate and dramatic. Every electronic system in the building failed completely. Even the emergency lights went out, plunging the facility into darkness. From the doorway came sounds of struggling and gasping. When Marcus managed to activate a small flashlight, they saw Commander Vex and his soldiers on their knees. Their protective suits were sparking and smoking. Some soldiers lay completely still, while others clawed at their helmets, desperate for air. Vex looked up, his large eyes filled with hatred, and for the first time, fear. "What have you done?" he gasped. Jack didn't answer. "Everyone move out now. Head for the evacuation point." As the resistance fighters led the freed captives out through the back of the facility, Jack looked back one last time. Commander Vex had stopped moving, his body slumped against the wall. Whether he was dead or just unconscious, Jack couldn't tell. 3 days later, the resistance base was buzzing with activity. The successful raid on the main processing facility had dealt a serious blow to the Dominion. More importantly, it had shown that humans could fight back effectively. In the command center, a repurposed subway station platform, Marcus studied the maps spread across a table. Reports were coming in from resistance cells all over the world. The neural amplifier technology had been shared, and similar raids were being planned globally. Jack entered, his arm in a makeshift sling. "How's Anna doing with the broadcast system?" "Almost ready," Marcus replied. "If it works, we can transmit the neural disruption signal to every radio and speaker in the city. And if every human hears it at once, every piece of Dominion tech in Chicago will fail," Marcus finished. Maria joined them, bringing cups of hot coffee, a luxury since the Dominion's arrival, but resistance raids had secured some supplies. "The people we rescued are starting to recover," she reported. Some remembered everything that happened to them. The Dominion was extracting the enzyme, but keeping most people alive for repeated harvesting. Jack's face hardened. "That ends now. Today we take back Chicago. Tomorrow, the world." On his flagship high above the city, Acting Commander Loren reviewed the damage reports with growing concern. Vex was dead, along with a dozen other high-ranking officers. The main processing facility was crippled. Production had fallen to critical levels. Our protective suits failed, a science officer explained. The human disruption technology was stronger than we anticipated. How is this possible? Luren demanded. They are a primitive species. Not as primitive as we thought, the science officer replied cautiously. Their neural patterns are unique, unlike anything we've encountered before, and they found a way to weaponize them. Luren paced the command deck. Accelerate the harvesting schedule. I want all remaining humans in this region processed within 2 days. No exceptions. Sir, that would mean. I know what it means, Luren snapped. Total extraction. No survivors. The humans have forced our hand. When the next shipment of processing equipment arrives from the homeworld, we move to the next region. Yes, Commander. And what about the resistance? Luren's eyes narrowed. Find their base and destroy it. Use orbital weapons if necessary. In her underground lab, Anna made the final adjustments to the broadcast system. It was a complex setup that would hijack the city's remaining radio towers and emergency broadcast systems. The neural disruption signal, embedded in Bach's toccata and fugue in D minor, would play simultaneously across the entire city. It's ready, she told Tom. But I found something else. She pointed to data on her screen. The latest tests show prolonged exposure to the disruption signal is fatal to the Dominion. Not just disruptive, deadly. Tom looked troubled. So we're not just disabling their tech now. We're killing them. They've been killing us for months, Anna replied, though her voice lacked conviction. She had become a scientist to save lives, not take them. Jack and Marcus entered the lab. Is it ready? Jack asked. Anna nodded. Yes, but there's something you should know. She explained her discovery about the lethal effects of prolonged exposure. Marcus looked at Jack. This changes things. We're talking about an all-out attack now, not just a defensive measure. Jack was silent for a moment, remembering the processing facility, the humans floating in tanks, their lives being drained away. They didn't give us a choice, he said finally. This is survival. At noon, resistance fighters took positions around the city. Each carried a small radio tuned to the resistance frequency. Their mission was simple but crucial. When the neural disruption began, they would help civilians reach safety and target any Dominion forces not affected by the signal. In Dominion bases across Chicago, alien soldiers prepared for their final push to round up the remaining humans. Luren had ordered all-out efforts, with no concern for keeping the harvesting secret anymore. Speed was all that mattered now. In the Resistance Command Center, Anna sat at the broadcast controls. Ready whenever you are, she told Jack. Jack looked at the faces around him. Marcus, Maria, Tom, and dozens of others who had fought against impossible odds. Send it, he said. Anna pressed the button. Across Chicago, every working speaker, radio, and communication device began playing Bach's powerful music. The effect was immediate. Dominion ships hovering above the city wobbled in the air, some crashing into buildings. Energy barriers around alien facilities flickered and died. Weapons systems failed, and the Dominion soldiers began to fall. Luren was in mid-sentence when the music started playing through the flagship's communication system. What is that noise? He demanded. Then pain shot through his head as his internal breathing apparatus failed. Around him, the command crew collapsed one by one. With his last strength, Luren activated the emergency distress beacon. As darkness closed in, he sent one final message to the Dominion homeworld. Humans, more dangerous than we knew. Avoid Earth at all costs. On the streets of Chicago, humans emerged from hiding places to see Dominion soldiers and officials lying motionless. The massive alien ships hung dead in the air, their engines silent. After months of fear and helplessness, the city belonged to humanity again. But the war was far from over. The Dominion had bases all over the world, and reinforcements were surely on the way from their homeworld. The Resistance would need to move quickly to spread the technology and prepare for what came next. As Bach's music continued to play across the city, Jack looked at the sky where the Dominion ships had once moved freely. "This is just the beginning," he said quietly. Marcus nodded. "But now they know. They thought we were powerless. And we had a deadly surprise," Maria finished. 1 week after Chicago's liberation, the pattern repeated across the globe. London, Tokyo, Moscow, Beijing, New York. City after city broadcast Bach's music, and city after city was freed from Dominion control. Humanity had found its weapon, and nothing could stop its spread. In the Chicago Command Center, now moved to an above-ground building that once housed a radio station, Jack, Marcus, Anna, and Maria gathered around a global map. Green lights showed liberated cities, while red indicated areas still under Dominion control. "Most major population centers are free," Marcus said, "but the Dominion still holds their main headquarters here." He pointed to a massive complex outside of Denver. "That's where they're coordinating from," Jack said. "And according to the intel we gathered, they've set up some kind of defense against our neural weapon there." Anna studied the satellite images of the facility. "They've built jamming towers around the perimeter. Our broadcast won't reach inside." "Then we need to get inside," Maria said simply. "A team with amplifiers, right in their command center." Jack nodded slowly. "A direct attack on their headquarters. They won't be expecting that." "It's suicide," Marcus warned. "Not if we all go," Jack replied. "Not if we bring everything we have." High above Earth, the Dominion Fleet Commander Zan reviewed the catastrophic reports from the surface. In less than 2 weeks, their entire operation had collapsed. Processing centers destroyed, ships grounded, soldiers dead. How could this happen? He demanded of the few surviving officers who had escaped to orbit. How could primitive humans defeat our technology? No one had a satisfying answer. Their initial scans of Earth had shown humans to be technologically inferior, biologically compatible for harvesting, and militarily weak. Nothing had suggested they could develop a weapon that attacked the very foundation of Dominion technology and biology. The emergency signal from Acting Commander Loran mentioned a neural attack, one science officer said. Something about human brain patterns being weaponized. Zan made his decision. "Prepare the cleansing protocol. If we cannot harvest this world, we will sterilize it. Begin bombardment of major population centers immediately." "Sir," his second-in-command said hesitantly, "should we not wait for approval from the homeworld?" "There is no time," Zan snapped. "The humans are spreading their weapon globally. We must act now or lose everything." On Earth, the Resistance's plan came together quickly. Teams from across America converged on Denver, bringing weapons, vehicles, and neural amplifiers. It would be humanity's largest coordinated attack, a direct assault on the heart of the Dominion's Earth operation. Meanwhile, Anna had made another discovery. "We can broadcast the neural disruption signal through the satellites we've recaptured," she explained to the leadership team. "Not just to Earth, but to the Dominion ships in orbit." "Will it reach that far?" Jack asked. "I think so," Anna replied. "Their ships are designed to receive signals from the surface. We can use their own communication network against them." As preparations continued, a Resistance intelligence team intercepted a Dominion transmission. Marcus burst into the planning room, his face grim. "We have a problem. The Dominion ships in orbit are preparing to bombard the planet. They're going to try to wipe us out completely." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Dominion energy weapons could turn cities to ash in seconds. "How long do we have?" Jack asked. "Hours, maybe less," Marcus replied. Jack looked at the assembled team leaders. "Then we move now. We hit their headquarters, take control of their communication array, and broadcast the signal to their orbital fleet before they can fire." No one needed to be told what failure would mean. The Denver complex was massive. A sprawling collection of black structures surrounded by energy barriers and patrolled by Dominion soldiers in protective suits. The jamming towers stood at regular intervals around the perimeter, blocking any attempt to broadcast the neural disruption signal from outside. The resistance attack began at dawn. Hundreds of fighters in commandeered vehicles charged the main gates from all sides. The Dominion forces responded immediately, their energy weapons cutting through the first wave of attackers. But this was just a distraction. While the main force engaged the Dominion soldiers at the gates, smaller teams approached from underground, using old maintenance tunnels that the aliens had deemed too primitive to guard properly. Jack led one of these teams, with Marcus, Maria, and Anna close behind. Each carried a neural amplifier set to maximum power. Their goal was the central communication tower that linked the headquarters to the orbital fleet. "Remember," Jack told his team as they prepared to emerge from the tunnels, "we only need to get close enough for the amplifiers to work. Then we fight our way to the tower." They emerged inside the perimeter, behind the main Dominion defenses. Alarms were already blaring as the frontal assault drew the aliens' attention. "Now," Jack ordered. 20 humans activated their neural amplifiers simultaneously. The effect was immediate. Nearby Dominion soldiers stumbled and fell. Doors that should have been locked slid open. Defense systems shut down. The team raced toward the central tower, encountering surprisingly little resistance. Most of the Dominion forces had been drawn to the gates. "It's working better than we expected," Marcus said as they reached the tower's entrance. "Too well," Maria replied suspiciously. "This feels like a trap." She was right. As they entered the main communication center, they found it heavily guarded by Dominion soldiers in new, thicker protective suits. At the center of the room stood Commander Zan, his tall figure imposing even for a Dominion officer. "Humans," he said, his voice cold. "Did you think we wouldn't adapt to your primitive attack?" Jack raised his amplifier. "Now," he shouted. Nothing happened. The enhanced protective suits were working. Zan laughed, a harsh sound like grinding metal. "Your neural disruption is useless here. And in minutes, our ships will begin the cleansing of your world." "Plan B," Jack said quietly. Anna stepped forward, holding what looked like a small music player. "We thought you might improve your protection," she said to Zan. "So we brought something special." She pressed a button, and powerful speakers hidden in the team's backpacks came to life. The music that filled the room wasn't batched this time, but something new, a composition Anna had created specifically for this moment, combining frequencies that no protective suit could block. The effect was devastating. The Dominion soldiers dropped their weapons, clutching their heads. Zan fell to his knees, his internal systems failing catastrophically. Anna rushed to the communication console. "Cover me," she shouted as she worked to connect their broadcast system to the Dominion's network. Marcus and the others formed a protective circle around her, firing at any Dominion soldier who still moved. "Hurry," Jack urged. Their ships could start firing any minute. "Almost there," Anna replied, her fingers flying over the alien controls. "Got it." She activated the broadcast. The neural disruption signal, embedded in her special composition, shot upward, transmitted through the Dominion's own communication network directly to their orbital fleet. In space, the Dominion ships were powering up their energy weapons when the signal reached them. One by one, their systems failed. Lights went out. Engines died. Life support systems collapsed. The massive vessels drifted helplessly in orbit, their crews incapacitated or dead. Earth was saved. In the Denver headquarters, Jack stood over the fallen Commander Zan. "You chose the wrong planet to invade," he said. Zan looked up, struggling to breathe as his systems failed. "How?" he gasped. "You were primitive, powerless." "No," Jack replied. "You just didn't understand what true power is. It isn't your weapons or your technology. It's here." He tapped his temple. "In the human mind. The one thing you tried to harvest from us became your downfall." As resistance forces secured the Dominion headquarters, Anna accessed their communication records. They sent a message to their homeworld, she reported, warning them about us. Marcus smiled grimly. Good. Let them know that Earth is off limits. In the months that followed, humanity rebuilt. The Dominion technology, now harmless without its alien operators, was studied and adapted for human use. The neural amplifier technology that had saved the world was refined for peaceful purposes, accelerating human advancement by decades. Earth established its first interstellar defense network, using repurposed Dominion satellites. They broadcast a simple message to the stars, Bach Toccata and Fugue in D minor, followed by a warning in the Dominion language. Earth is protected. Approach at your own risk. The message was clear to any who might think of Earth as an easy target. Humans might look primitive, but appearances can be deceiving. They once thought we were powerless. They will never make that mistake again. The mining ship Prospector drifted slowly through the empty sector. Captain James Walker stood on the bridge, his eyes fixed on the main screen. The ship's sensors had picked up something strange. A large metal object floating in space where nothing should be. "What do you think it is, Captain?" asked Tom, the young navigator. His fingers hovered over the controls, ready to change course if needed. Walker rubbed his beard. "Not sure. Could be an asteroid with high metal content. Could be space junk." He leaned forward. "But it's big, whatever it is." The Prospector wasn't a fancy ship. It was old, built for mining operations in the outer systems, not for exploration. Its hull was scratched and dented from years of service. The crew of 12 were simple working people, not soldiers or scientists. They went where the company sent them, dug up valuable minerals, and got paid. Nothing more. "Lisa, what do the scans show?" Walker called to his science officer. Lisa Kemp looked up from her station. Her face showed surprise. "Sir, it's a ship. A human ship." The bridge went quiet. Human ships didn't come to this sector anymore. Not since the treaties with the Galactic Council 50 years ago. This area belonged to the aliens now. "How old?" Walker asked. Lisa tapped on her screen. "Very old, sir. The design matches ships from the expansion era. Maybe 300 years old." Walker whistled. The expansion era was when humans first reached the stars and met other races. Those were violent times, before the peace treaties, before humans learned their place in the galaxy. "Move closer," Walker ordered. "Careful now." As the Prospector approached, the object grew larger on their screens. It was indeed a ship, and a massive one, nearly 5 times the size of their mining vessel. Its dark hull was marked with faded symbols and text. "Can you read the name?" Walker asked. Mac Reynolds, the ship's engineer, zoomed in the image. "UEA's Vengeance," he read slowly. "United Earth Ship Vengeance." "A warship," whispered Tom. Walker nodded. "From the old fleet, before the Council restricted our military." The Vengeance showed no signs of damage. It simply floated, dark and silent, like it was sleeping. "Any life signs?" Walker asked. "None," Lisa replied. "No power readings either. It's completely dead." Walker made a decision. "Prepare a boarding team. I want to see what's inside." An hour later, Walker floated through the airlock connecting the Prospector to the ancient warship. Behind him came Mac, Lisa, and Ben, their security officer. All wore spacesuits with helmet lights that cut through the darkness inside the derelict vessel. "Air pressure is stable," Lisa reported, checking her scanner. "Temperature is cold but safe. We can remove our helmets if needed." They pushed deeper into the ship. The corridors were wide and tall, designed for moving troops and equipment quickly. Everything was covered in a thin layer of dust. Their lights revealed empty crew quarters, mess halls, and storage rooms. "This ship could hold hundreds of people," Ben said, his voice echoing slightly. "Maybe thousands." After 20 minutes of exploration, they reached what appeared to be the bridge. Unlike the cramped command center of the Prospector, this room was massive, with stations for dozens of officers and a central command platform. Let's see if we can access the ship's systems, Max said, moving to what looked like the main console. He brushed away dust and examined the controls. Interesting design. Old, but advanced for its time. Be careful, Walker warned. Don't activate anything yet. Mac nodded and connected a small device to the console. Just reading data, not sending commands. The screens remained dark, but Mac's device lit up with information. This ship was part of something called Project Thunderstorm. Seems it was a special Black Ops program during the expansion wars. That explains why it's out here, Lisa said. After the treaties, Earth probably couldn't bring it home without the Council knowing. So they just left it? Ben asked. Looks that way, Walker replied. Abandoned when no longer needed. Suddenly, Mac's device sparked. He pulled it away quickly. What the? The bridge lights flickered, then came on at low power. Displays around them glowed softly, showing ship diagrams and status reports. What did you do? Walker demanded. Nothing. Mac insisted. I was just reading. A deep humming sound filled the bridge as more systems activated. The main screen at the front of the room blinked to life, displaying the ship's logo, a thunderbolt striking through darkness. Then, a voice spoke. It was a male voice, deep and clear. Systems reactivating. Identity verification required. The four humans looked at each other in shock. The AI is still active, Lisa whispered. Walker stepped forward cautiously. This is Captain James Walker of the mining vessel Prospector. We are human explorers who found this ship abandoned. There was a pause. Then the voice responded. Scanning biological signatures. Human DNA confirmed. Another pause. Standard authentication protocols have expired. Enacting emergency contingency measures. I am Tactical Artificial Intelligence System Model T-107, assigned to UES Vengeance. It's talking to us, Tom said unnecessarily. What is your current assignment? Walker asked the AI. My primary mission was to serve as tactical command for special operations during the expansion conflicts. When hostilities ended, I was instructed to maintain standby status until recalled or until human interests were threatened. Lisa moved closer to Walker. The AI thinks it's still at war. Walker shook his head. I don't think so. But it's been waiting for someone to find it. I have been dormant for 278 years, 3 months and 17 days, the AI continued. My power reserves are at 89%. All primary systems are functional. Mac whistled. Almost 3 centuries, and it still has power. That's impossible with any technology I know. The AI seemed to hear him. This vessel is equipped with experimental technology not available to standard fleet units. My power core is self-sustaining through controlled quantum fluctuation. Walker felt a chill that had nothing to do with the temperature. What do we call you? He asked. My designation is T-107, but the original crew referred to me as Old Thunder. Old Thunder, Walker repeated. What exactly is this ship capable of? The main screen changed, showing technical diagrams and weapon systems that made even Mac's eyes widen. I believe, Old Thunder replied. The more relevant question is what threats currently exist to human interests. My sensors detect non-human civilizations dominating this sector. Are these entities hostile? At that exact moment, across the sector, Council Representative Dorn was reviewing reports in his office on the massive council station. A junior aide entered, looking nervous. Sir, we've detected an energy signature in the abandoned sector. It appears to be an old human vessel. Dorn, a tall alien with gray skin and 4 eyes, barely looked up. Humans are always poking around where they shouldn't, probably scavengers looking for materials. But sir, the energy readings match military-grade systems. Dorn laughed. Human military. Their treaties restrict them to defensive capabilities only. Even if they found some old warship, it would be obsolete museum scrap compared to our modern vessels. He waved a dismissive hand. Monitor the situation. But it's nothing to worry about. Humans know their place. The aide bowed and left, while Dorn returned to more important matters. After all, what could one ancient human ship possibly do against the might of the Galactic Council? What do you mean by threats to human interests? Walker asked Old Thunder. The AI's question had made everyone on the bridge uncomfortable. My primary function is to protect humanity and its expansion, Old Thunder replied. The current star charts indicate this sector is claimed by non-human entities. Are they allies or enemies? Walker exchanged looks with his crew. How could he explain 3 centuries of history to a war machine? Things have changed, Walker said carefully. Humans made peace with alien races. We formed the Galactic Council together. This area belongs to them now, by treaty. There was a pause as the AI processed this information. Accessing historical databanks, Old Thunder announced. Screens around the bridge filled with treaty documents and news reports from the past centuries. The Proxima Treaty. Humans agreed to limit military operations and technology development. Puzzling. It was a fair deal, Lisa said. We get trade rights. They get security. The terms appear unbalanced, Old Thunder responded. Humans surrendered significant defensive capabilities in exchange for limited economic benefits. Mac shrugged. That's politics for you. The big aliens had bigger guns. Incorrect, Old Thunder stated flatly. Human military technology was advancing rapidly during the expansion era. This vessel represents capabilities that would have been competitive or superior. What exactly can this ship do? Ben asked, his security training making him both curious and cautious. Instead of answering directly, Old Thunder activated a holographic display in the center of the bridge. It showed the Vengeance in full detail, a long, sleek warship with unusual weapon mounts and engine configurations. The UES Vengeance was designed as a force equalizer, Old Thunder explained. One ship capable of engaging multiple enemy vessels simultaneously. The hologram changed, showing internal systems that none of the humans recognized. Adaptive shield harmonics, Old Thunder continued. The shields automatically adjust to counter enemy weapons after first contact. Phase shift targeting arrays allow weapons to bypass standard defenses. Quantum disruption torpedoes disable rather than destroy enemy vessels. Walker whistled softly. This technology is still advanced even by today's standards. Why wasn't it shared? Because the Council didn't want us to have it, Lisa realized. The treaties banned this research. Or, Mac added with growing excitement, Earth's leaders hid these capabilities during negotiations. They gave up conventional weapons but kept the special stuff secret, just in case. Old Thunder's lights pulsed in what seemed like approval. Your assessment aligns with my historical data. Project Thunderstorm vessels were officially decommissioned. However, selected ships like the Vengeance were placed in dormant status at strategic locations throughout known space. A hidden insurance policy, Walker muttered. Precisely, Old Thunder confirmed. The next 12 hours passed in a blur of discovery. Mac and Lisa explored the ship's systems while Walker and Ben checked the weapons and defenses. The more they learned, the more amazed they became. The Vengeance wasn't just a warship. It was a technological marvel that had been hidden from the galaxy for centuries. Walker called a meeting in the ship's conference room, which had come alive with soft lighting and comfortable air temperature. The AI seemed eager to make them feel at home. We need to decide what to do, Walker said to his crew. We can't just leave this ship here now that it's active. Lisa had been quiet for some time, lost in thought. We should contact Earth. The government needs to know what we found. I agree, said Mac, but using the prospector's communications might attract attention. The Council monitors all regular channels. The Vengeance has secure communication capabilities, Old Thunder offered. I can send encrypted messages that will appear as background radiation to standard sensors. Walker nodded. Do it. Tell Earth what we found and ask for instructions. As Old Thunder prepared the message, Ben approached Walker privately. Captain, I'm concerned. This ship was made for war. Its very existence violates our treaties. I know, Walker admitted. But doesn't it make you wonder? Why did Earth agree to such one-sided peace terms if they had ships like this? Before Ben could answer, Old Thunder interrupted. Alert! Multiple vessels approaching. Configuration matches Krull Empire warships. Everyone froze. The Krull were the most aggressive species on the Council, always looking for excuses to show their power. Can they detect us? Walker asked. Negative, Old Thunder replied. The Vengeance remains in low-power mode with stealth systems active. However, your mining vessel is fully visible. Walker cursed. They probably picked up the Prospector on routine patrol. We're not supposed to be in this sector without permission. What do we do? Tom asked, fear clear in his voice. Walker thought quickly. We can't outrun Krull ships in the Prospector. And if they board us and find out about the Vengeance? He made his decision. We stay here, on the Vengeance. Captain, Old Thunder said, I must inform you that remaining aboard activates certain protocols. As the senior human present, you would be assigned temporary command authority. Meaning what exactly? Meaning I would follow your orders, including defensive actions if required. The room fell silent as everyone understood the implications. They were standing on a powerful warship with an eye ready to fight. Let's hope it doesn't come to that, Walker said. Keep the ship dark. Maybe they'll just check the Prospector and leave. Admiral Grex stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Claw of Dominance. His scaled skin reflected the red lighting of the Krull command center, and his sharp teeth showed in what passed for a smile among his kind. What do we have? He asked his sensor officer. A human mining vessel, Admiral. Registered as the Prospector. It appears to be stopped near a large metal object. Salvage operation, Grex suggested. Possibly, sir. The object is large enough to be a derelict ship, but we're getting no energy readings from it. Grex's smile widened. Humans are always so greedy. This sector is restricted to them without proper authorization. He turned to his communications officer. Prepare boarding teams. I want to inspect this salvage operation personally. His second-in-command approached cautiously. Sir, should we not simply warn them away? The Council prefers minimal confrontation with humans. Grex hissed in displeasure. The Council coddles these primates. They need regular reminders of their proper place. He pointed to the view screen. Send 2 additional ships to join us. I want to make an impression. As the orders went out, Grex studied the distant image of the human ship and the dark object beside it. Something tickled at the back of his mind, a memory from his military history studies. Enhance that image, he ordered suddenly. The dark object. Clean it up. The screen shifted, showing a clearer picture of what was indeed an old ship. When Grex saw the faded insignia on its hull, his blood ran cold. Thunderstorm class, he whispered. His second-in-command looked confused. Sir. Grex turned, his previous arrogance replaced by focused intensity. Contact High Command immediately. Tell them we found a ghost. 3 Krull warships surrounded the Prospector. Their dark, pointed hulls reminded Walker of ancient sea predators from Earth. Each was twice the size of his mining vessel, armed with weapons that could turn the Prospector into space dust in seconds. From the bridge of the Vengeance, Walker and his crew watched through the view screens. Old Thunder had tapped into the Prospector systems remotely, giving them eyes and ears without revealing their presence on the warship. They're hailing the Prospector, Lisa reported. Let's hear it, Walker ordered. A harsh voice filled the bridge. Human vessel, this is Admiral Grex of the Krull Empire. You are trespassing in restricted space. Prepare to be boarded for inspection. Walker looked at his nervous crew. Options. We could try to explain we're just mining, Tom suggested. Mac shook his head. The Krull don't care. They'll find us. Take our cargo, maybe even the ship. What about the Vengeance? Ben asked. If they discover it. They've already seen it, Walker said. They just don't know it's active. He made a decision. Old Thunder, can you make the Vengeance appear completely dead if they scan it? Affirmative, the AI replied. All systems can enter ultra-low power mode, appearing dormant to standard scans. Do it, Walker ordered. He turned to his crew. I'll go back to the prospector and meet the crawl. The rest of you stay here, out of sight. Captain, Old Thunder interrupted, I must advise against this course of action. Admiral Grex is known in my historical database. During the expansion wars, he was a junior officer responsible for 3 unprovoked attacks on human colonies. Walker paused. That was 300 years ago. This is the same individual, Old Thunder clarified. Crawl lifespans exceed human standards by a significant margin. My facial recognition is certain. This new information changed things. Walker reconsidered his plan. Lisa, you're with me on the prospector. Everyone else stays here. Old Thunder, maintain stealth but be ready to act if things go wrong. 30 minutes later, Walker and Lisa stood in the prospector's airlock as it cycled open. 6 Crawl soldiers entered, weapons ready. Behind them came Admiral Grex himself, tall and imposing with dark green scales and yellow eyes. Captain Walker, Grex said, looking around with disgust. Explain your presence in this sector. Walker kept his voice steady. We're on a standard mining operation. Admiral. We detected mineral deposits and stopped to investigate. Grex's eyes narrowed. And the derelict vessel beside you. Another mining operation. We found it by accident, Walker said truthfully. An old human ship. We were checking if it had any salvageable parts. That ship, Grex said slowly, is not just any vessel. It belongs to a class that supposedly no longer exists. He stepped closer to Walker. The Thunderstorm program was officially ended after the Proxima Treaty. All such ships were to be dismantled. Walker tried to hide his surprise. I wouldn't know about that, Admiral. We're just miners. Grex made a sound like grinding stones. A Crawl laugh. Just miners who happened to find one of humanity's most dangerous weapons. He turned to his soldiers. Search the derelict. I want to know if anything is still operational. Walker tensed. Admiral, that ship is human property. The treaties give us salvage rights to our own vessels. The treaties, Grex spat, are agreements we graciously extended to your kind, despite your warmongering past. His voice rose. Humans have no idea how close they came to extinction during the expansion wars. Your technology was advancing too quickly. You were becoming a threat. Lisa spoke up. The wars ended centuries ago. We've been peaceful members of the Council since then. Grex turned his yellow eyes to her. Peace on our terms. Your people were so eager to avoid further conflict, they accepted significant restrictions. His mouth formed that terrible smile again. Did you never wonder why the Council limits human military development so severely? Why you cannot build warships beyond a certain size? Why your weapons must be registered and inspected? For everyone's safety, Lisa said, but her voice lacked conviction. For our convenience, Grex corrected. The Council, particularly the Crawl Empire, recognized the potential threat. Humans learn too quickly, adapt too easily. He gestured toward the Vengeance. That ship represents what your kind might have become without our guidance. Walker felt cold anger rising. So the treaties weren't fair agreements. They were designed to keep us weak. They were designed to keep you controlled. Grex said, a lesson you seem to have forgotten. He turned to his communication officer. Signal the flagship. Tell them to target the human mining vessel. What? Walker stepped forward. You can't attack us. We've done nothing wrong. Grex pushed him back easily with one clawed hand. I'm not attacking. I'm simply providing a warning demonstration about trespassing in crawl space. He nodded to his officer, who spoke into his communicator. Through the viewport, Walker saw the largest crawl ship turn slightly, its main weapon port glowing with energy. Stop, Walker shouted. This violates every council law. Grex seemed amused. Who will report it? Your ship will suffer an unfortunate accident. The derelict will be removed as space debris. No witnesses. A beam of energy shot from the Krull flagship, striking the prospector's hull. The mining vessel shuddered, and warning alarms blared. That was minimum power, Grex said calmly. The next will disable your engines, then your life support. I want you to understand your complete helplessness before the end. Walker looked at Lisa, whose face showed the same realization he felt. They had no choice. Old Thunder, Walker said clearly. Defensive protocols. Authorization Walker 1. Grex looked confused. What are you? He never finished his question. The viewport showed a sudden burst of light as the Vengeance came to life. Its previously dark hull now glowed with power lines, and its weapon ports opened. Human vessel detected under attack. Old Thunder's voice came through the prospector's communication system. Defensive protocols engage. The Krull soldiers raised their weapons, but before they could fire, a strange humming filled the air. A shimmering field appeared around Walker and Lisa. Portable shield deployed, Old Thunder announced. Captain, I recommend you brace for impact. Outside, the Krull flagship fired again, this time at the Vengeance. The beam struck the ancient warship directly, but instead of causing damage, it seemed to disappear into the hull. A moment later, the Vengeance responded with a single, precise shot that hit the Krull weapon port. The energy weapon collapsed in on itself, disabled but not destroyed. Admiral Grex stared in shock. Impossible. The other two Krull ships opened fire. The Vengeance absorbed their attacks, then fired again. Two quick pulses that left both enemy vessels drifting with their main systems offline. In less than 30 seconds, the entire Krull attack force had been neutralized. What is happening? Grex demanded, his arrogance replaced by confusion. Walker smiled grimly. You said humans learn quickly, Admiral. It seems our ancestors learned not to trust the Krull. News of the encounter spread through the galaxy like wildfire. Within 24 hours, the Galactic Council called an emergency meeting. Representatives from all 7 major species gathered in the great circular chamber on the massive council station. On the Vengeance, Walker and his crew watched the proceedings through hacked communication channels. Old Thunder had easily broken through the Council's secure broadcasts. The humans have violated the most sacred tenets of our peace, shouted the Krull representative. His voice boomed across the council chamber. They have hidden forbidden military technology and used it against our peacekeeping forces. The human ambassador, a small woman named Director Helen Reed, stood her ground. My government has no knowledge of this vessel. The mining crew that discovered it acted in self-defense after being attacked without provocation. A convenient story, sneered the Krull. Are we to believe that a mining ship accidentally found and activated one of the most advanced warships ever built by humans? Other council members murmured in agreement. The Volth representative, a tall being with blue skin and 4 arms, spoke next. What concerns me is how this ship remained operational after 3 centuries. The power requirements alone should have drained any known energy source. And the weapons, added the representative of the insect-like Trill Collective. Our reports indicate they bypassed Krull shields, as if they weren't even there. Walker turned to his crew. They're scared, he said. They should be, Mac replied with a grin. Old Thunder here just took out 3 warships without breaking a sweat. The AI's voice came from the speakers. I do not perspire, Engineer Reynolds. But your assessment of the tactical situation is accurate. The Council species are exhibiting clear signs of concern. Back on the screen, Director Reed was speaking again. Earth demands the immediate release of the mining crew. They are civilian workers who acted in self-defense. The Council leader, an ancient Volth named Zoral, leaned forward. What Earth demands is irrelevant. The treaties are clear. This warship must be surrendered to the Council for immediate decommissioning. And if we refuse, Director Reed asked, then Earth will be considered in violation of the Proxima Treaty, with all that implies, Zoral answered coldly. The screen suddenly split to show another image, a man in a formal military uniform. He hadn't been part of the council meeting. "This is Admiral Marcus Grant of Earth Defense Command," the man said. "We're receiving a secure transmission meant for this channel." Walker straightened in his chair. This was new. The Admiral continued, "Captain Walker of the mining vessel Prospector, if you are watching this broadcast, please be advised that your actions have created a diplomatic crisis. However, Earth government has now been made aware of the existence of Project Thunderstorm contingency vessels." Walker felt all eyes on him. "They knew," he whispered. "Earth knew these ships were out here." "The following message is classified Level Alpha," Admiral Grant said, "for Captain Walker and his crew only." The screen changed to show a simple text message. "Pro-GCT Thunderstorm Activation Protokigo Elko and Fireend. Vessel UES Vengi ANC Status. Operational. Command Authorization. Temporary Field Commission. Captain James Walker recognized as Acting Commander. Orders. Hold position. Protect vessel. Await further instructions." Needy SSAGENDs. Silence fell over the bridge of the Vengeance. "Did Earth just officially put you in command of this warship?" Lisa asked finally. Walker nodded slowly. "Looks that way." Old Thunder spoke up. "Captain, I have analyzed the transmission. It contains embedded authentication codes matching my original programming. Earth Command has officially recognized your authority." "But why?" Ben asked. "Why not order us to bring the ship back to Earth space?" "Because they can't," Mac realized. "The Council would intercept us. This way, Earth gets to keep the Vengeance active while claiming they're still figuring out what to do." Walker turned back to the screen, which had returned to the Council meeting. The atmosphere had changed dramatically. The human ambassador stood taller, more confident. "Earth government is investigating this situation," Director Reed was saying. "Until we determine the exact nature and purpose of this vessel, we cannot simply surrender it." "This is outrageous," the Crawl representative shouted. "The humans are stalling while they activate more of these hidden weapons." The council leader raised a hand for silence. "Director Reed, your position is untenable. The Proxima Treaty specifically banned this class of vessel. Historical records clearly show all Thunderstorm program ships were decommissioned." Reed smiled slightly. "With respect, those records were provided by the Council. Our own archives tell a different story. The treaty banned new construction of such vessels, but existing ships were to be placed in reserve status, not destroyed." This created an uproar in the chamber. Various representatives shouted over each other until the council leader banged his ceremonial staff for order. "This deliberate misinterpretation will not stand," the leader declared. "The council hereby demands the immediate surrender of the vessel designated UES Vengeance. You have 48 hours to comply." "And if we need more time to investigate?" Reed asked. "Then the council will take appropriate action," the leader replied. "This meeting is adjourned." As the screen went dark, Walker's crew looked at each other with concern. "What does appropriate action mean?" Tom asked nervously. "It means they're coming for us," Walker said. "Old Thunder, what's our tactical situation?" The AI displayed a holographic map of the sector. "Council forces are mobilizing. 50 ships from all 7 species are being assembled into what they are designating the Grand Fleet. Their estimated arrival time is 43 hours from now." 50 ships. Lisa gasped. "We can't fight that many." "Actually," Old Thunder replied, "I was designed for precisely such a scenario. The Thunderstorm program's purpose was to create vessels capable of engaging numerically superior forces." Walker studied the map. "You're saying we can win against 50 ships." "I am saying we can fight effectively," Old Thunder clarified. "Victory depends on our objectives and the enemy's determination." "Our objective is to stay alive," Walker said firmly, "and to keep this ship out of their hands." Old Thunder's lights pulsed in what the crew now recognized as acknowledgement. In that case, Captain, I should inform you of the Vengeance's full capabilities. Some systems were not revealed earlier as they required command authorization. A new set of schematics appeared, showing weapons and defensive systems that made even Mac's jaw drop. Is that what I think it is? The engineer asked, pointing to one particular system. Yes, Old Thunder confirmed. The temporal displacement field. It was considered the most classified technology in the human arsenal. Walker looked at the schematics with growing amazement. They're coming with 50 ships, he said softly. And they still have no idea what they're up against. The Grand Fleet arrived exactly as predicted. 50 warships from all 7 Council species formed a sphere around the Vengeance, weapons ready. From the smallest Trill scout ships to the massive Volth dreadnoughts, it was the largest battle group assembled since the expansion wars. Walker stood on the bridge of the ancient warship, outwardly calm despite the tension flowing through his body. His crew had spent the last 2 days learning everything they could about the Vengeance's systems. Now they manned their stations with nervous determination. Enemy fleet is holding position at 10,000 kilometers. Lisa reported from the sensor station. They'd formed a complete blockade. No blind spots. They're being cautious, Walker noted. Good. That means they respect what we did to the crawl ships. A message alert sounded. Captain, Old Thunder announced. We are receiving a transmission from the Council flagship. On screen, Walker ordered. The main display showed a Volth admiral, his blue skin wrinkled with age. 4 arms clasped before him in a formal posture. Human vessel, this is Grand Admiral Corvus of the Galactic Council Combined Fleet. You have been declared in violation of interstellar treaty. Power down your systems and prepare to be boarded. Walker stepped forward. This is Captain James Walker. My crew and I acted in self-defense after being attacked by crawl forces. We have committed no crime. The Volth's expression didn't change. The vessel you control is itself a violation. Its very existence breaks the peace established centuries ago. A peace built on lies, Walker replied. We now know the treaties were designed to keep humanity weak, while the Council races maintained military superiority. A necessary arrangement, Corvus said without shame. Humans advanced too quickly. In just a few centuries, you went from primitive planet-bound creatures to creating ships like the one you now command. Walker glanced at his crew, then back at the screen. And that frightened you. It concerned us, the Admiral corrected. The other races needed millennia to achieve what humans did in mere generations. The treaties were meant to allow time for cultural maturity to match technological capability. Max snorted from his station. They were afraid we'd take their place. The Admiral heard this. Fear is a reasonable response to a potential threat. History is filled with the remains of civilizations that failed to recognize danger until too late. His voice hardened. You have one final opportunity to surrender. After that, we will take action. Walker took a deep breath. And if we refuse, then we will destroy your vessel and everyone aboard. The Admiral's tone was matter-of-fact. We regret this necessity, but the safety of the galactic community takes precedence over individual lives. The screen went dark. Walker turned to his crew. Options. We can't outrun them, Ben said from Tactical. Even with the Vengeance's advanced engines, there are too many ships to break through. Fight, Max suggested, though his voice lacked conviction. Lisa shook her head. Against 50 ships. Even Old Thunder said survival wasn't guaranteed. Walker looked at the main display, which showed the ring of enemy vessels surrounding them. He had been just a simple mining captain a few days ago. Now he commanded the most powerful human warship ever built, facing an impossible situation. Old Thunder, he said finally, you were designed for this exact scenario. What would your original commanders have done? The AI's voice was calm. The Vengeance was created as a force equalizer, not a first-strike weapon. Its purpose was to demonstrate capability while minimizing casualties. Show, don't destroy, Walker murmured. Precisely, Old Thunder confirmed. The Thunderstorm program's ultimate objective was diplomatic, not military. To ensure humans would be treated as equals, not subordinates. Walker straightened. Then that's what we'll do. Old Thunder, prepare all defensive systems. Be ready to execute Tactical Jump Pattern Omega on my command. Tactical Jump? Tom asked. What's that? Walker smiled grimly. Something they won't expect. On the Council flagship, Admiral Corvus watched the countdown timer with resignation. The humans had been given 30 minutes to surrender. Only 2 minutes remained. No response from the human vessel, his communications officer reported. Corvus nodded. As expected, prepare all ships to fire on my command. Target their engine systems first, then weapons. We want to disable, not destroy if possible. Sir, his second-in-command said quietly, the historical records indicate Thunderstorm-class vessels had significant defensive capabilities. The crawling counter suggests those systems are still operational. That's why we brought 50 ships, Corvus replied. No defense can withstand that much firepower. The timer reached 0. Open fire, Corvus ordered. Across the Grand Fleet, weapons charged and fired, sending beams and projectiles toward the lone human warship. The combined firepower could have reduced a small moon to rubble. But the vengeance wasn't there anymore. In the instant before the weapons struck, the ancient warship vanished. Where did it go? Corvus demanded. Unknown, sir. Our sensors show. The officer never finished his sentence. The Vengeance appeared directly beside the nearest Trill vessel, so close they almost touched. Before anyone could react, a pulse of energy shot from the human ship into the Trill vessel. The Trill ship's lights flickered, then went dark, drifting powerless. Then the Vengeance vanished again. It reappeared next to a Kraul cruiser. Another pulse, another disabled ship. Then it jumped again, and again. Across the Grand Fleet, chaos erupted as the Vengeance jumped from position to position, appearing without warning, disabling ships, then disappearing before they could respond. Impossible, Corvus shouted. No ship can jump with that precision. The power requirements alone. The Vengeance appeared directly in front of his flagship's bridge. Through the view screen, Corvus could see the ancient human vessel hovering just meters away. Its weapon ports glowed with energy, aimed directly at him. The communication system activated. Walker's voice filled the bridge. Admiral Corvus, your fleet has been neutralized. 20 of your ships are now powerless. The rest are isolated and vulnerable. I suggest you reconsider your position. Corvus stared in disbelief. How? How did you do this? Human ingenuity, Walker replied simply. The same quality that frightened the Council centuries ago. At that moment, alarms blared through the flagship. Sir, the tactical officer shouted. The Dorn destroyer is attempting to self-destruct rather than be captured. On his auxiliary screen, Corvus saw the Dorn vessel's power core building to critical levels. Such an explosion would destroy not only the Dorn ship, but any vessels nearby, including other Council ships. Stop them, Corvus ordered, knowing it was too late. But then, something extraordinary happened. A shimmering field appeared around the Dorn vessel, encasing it in a bubble of strange, distorted space. Inside the bubble, everything seemed to slow down. The building explosion froze in mid-formation. Temporal displacement field activated, came Old Thunder's voice over the open channel. Slowing time within the containment area to give your crews time to evacuate. Even Corvus couldn't hide his shock. Time manipulation. That's beyond any known technology. Not beyond human technology, Walker corrected. Just hidden from you. As the Council crews evacuated their ships in escape pods, Walker's message continued to all listening vessels. For centuries, humanity accepted unfair treaties because we valued peace. But we never surrendered our ability to defend ourselves. The Vengeance is one of several ships placed in reserve throughout the galaxy, insurance against exactly this kind of situation. Corvus sank into his command chair. "We have underestimated you," he admitted. "Yes," Walker agreed. "But more importantly, you misunderstood us. We demonstrated our power today without taking a single life. The Vengeance could have destroyed your fleet, but that was never our intention." 1 week later, Walker stood in the observation lounge of the Vengeance, watching as diplomatic vessels from Earth arrived to begin new negotiations with the Council. The ancient warship that no one had feared had changed the balance of power in a single day. "What happens now?" Lisa asked, joining him at the window. Walker smiled. "Now, humanity takes its rightful place, not through conquest or domination, but through respect. We proved we had the power to destroy them, and the wisdom not to use it." Behind them, Old Thunder's voice spoke softly. "That was always the plan. My creators understood that true peace comes only between equals." Outside, the stars shone on a galaxy forever changed by an ancient ship no one feared, until it obliterated their fleet.